The moment Sarah asked me to drive her to another man's date, something inside me cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough to make me realize how long I had been carrying. Feelings I never had the courage to confess. And when I looked at her standing there beneath the fading evening sky in a quiet neighborhood outside Columbus, Ohio, holding her purse with nervous hands and avoiding my eyes, I knew this ride would either be the end of my story with her or the beginning of something I never expected. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, hope, forgiveness, compassion, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories. I had known Sarah for almost 4 years. We met at a community volunteer event organized by our church. I was 29 then, working as a landscape designer, trying to rebuild my life after a difficult breakup. Sarah was warm, funny, and endlessly thoughtful. She remembered birthdays, checked on people when they were sick, and somehow made everyone around her feel important. The problem was that I never told her how I felt. At first, I thought there would be plenty of time. Then, months became years. We became close friends. We attended church events together, helped with food drives, and spent countless afternoons drinking coffee and talking about life. Every opportunity came and went. Every time I considered telling her, fear stopped me. I was terrified of losing the friendship that meant so much to me. Then one Thursday evening, she called unexpectedly. Her voice sounded different, nervous, excited. She explained that she had finally agreed to meet someone she had been talking to online for several months. His name was Nathan. He lived about 40 minutes away and had invited her to dinner. Her car had broken down that morning. Would I be willing to drive her there? I remember gripping my phone so tightly that my hand hurt for a moment. I couldn't breathe. Still, I heard myself saying yes, because loving someone sometimes means showing up even when it hurts. The drive began just before sunset. Golden light stretched across the Ohio countryside as we traveled along quiet roads lined with trees. Sarah looked beautiful in a simple cream-colored sweater and dark slacks. She seemed hopeful, but underneath her smile something felt uncertain. Halfway through the drive, silence settled between us. Finally, she asked whether I had ever regretted not taking a chance on something important. The question caught me off guard. I laughed softly and told her I regretted it all the time. I regretted opportunities I never pursued, dreams I postponed, words I never spoke. She stared out the window after that. The remaining miles felt longer than the previous 40 minutes combined. When we reached the restaurant, my heart sank. A man was standing outside near the entrance. Nathan, Sarah thanked me for the ride and opened the door. Then, before she stepped out, I heard myself say something I had never planned to say. I asked her if I still had a chance. The words hung in the air. Everything became still. The evening traffic disappeared. The sounds of the restaurant faded. For several seconds, she simply looked at me. Then something unexpected happened. Tears filled her eyes. Not dramatic tears, quiet tears. The kind people cry when they're carrying emotions for far too long. She told me she had been waiting almost 2 years to hear those words. My heart nearly stopped. She explained that she had noticed the way I cared for her, the way I always showed up, the way I remembered little details no one else noticed. But she believed my feelings were only friendship. Eventually, she convinced herself she needed to move on. Nathan wasn't a bad man. In fact, he seemed kind. But he wasn't the person she secretly wished would ask her out. I couldn't speak. The realization hit me all at once. Years of fear had nearly cost me the person I loved. Sarah sat quietly, wiping away tears. Then she smiled, the kind of smile that changes everything. She said she needed a few minutes. She stepped out of the car and walked toward the restaurant entrance. I watched from a distance. Nathan greeted her warmly. They spoke briefly. A few moments later, they shook hands. Then Sarah turned around and started walking back toward me. I'll never forget that walk. The evening breeze moved through the trees. The sun disappeared below the horizon. And with every step she took, it felt like hope itself was coming closer. When she opened the passenger door again, she wasn't smiling because she had chosen me over someone else. She was smiling because both of us had finally chosen honesty over fear. We drove away without knowing exactly what our future would look like. We only knew we wanted to discover it together. Over the following months, our friendship transformed into something deeper. Not because of grand gestures or perfect romance, but because we had already built trust, respect, and genuine care. A year later, surrounded by family, friends, and our church community, I asked Sarah to marry me. She said yes before I even finished the question today. Whenever people ask how our story began, we laugh about the night I drove her to another man's date. But deep down, we both know the lesson wasn't about romance. It was about courage. Sometimes life doesn't require perfect timing. Sometimes it simply requires one honest sentence, spoken before it's too late. Before this story ends, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever waited too long to tell someone how you felt? Or did you find the courage to take your chance? Leave your answer in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, reminded you of someone special, or encouraged you to be brave enough to speak the truth, please support the video with a like, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more. Uplifting stories filled with hope and second chances. As Sarah and I learned that evening in Ohio, fear protects us from rejection for a little while, but courage can change the rest of our lives. Sometimes the opportunity you've been praying for isn't waiting somewhere far away. Sometimes it's sitting right beside you, hoping you'll finally find the words to say what has always been in your heart.